All right, so the next way you could go about putting trim in a building is to use curtain walls. Now, if you're doing like very advanced things or things that need patterns, this would probably be the recommended method. Before we get into that and how to do it, and specifically how to use our families to do it, it's going to be very confusing unless you know the basics of curtain walls. So I am going to show you just a couple things about curtain walls. We'll discuss the anatomy of curtain walls in this video. So if you're already familiar with curtain walls, you've used them before, they're not new for you, then go ahead and skip this video. But if you haven't used curtain walls or don't use them very often, you should probably use this as a refresher video. So let's jump right in. In any file, new Revit file, there should be at least one wall that's a curtain wall. When you come to your wall command and do your dropdown, there should at least be one. And it's sometimes, depending on your template, it could be called curtain wall 1, like in mine. It could be called default, but it'll be a curtain wall. So I'm just going to draw a curtain wall here. And usually, again, depending on what template you're using, but usually it's just one big pane of glass. That's what curtain walls are most often used for, is to make big glass walls like storefronts or curtain walls, as the name would imply. So the unique thing about a curtain wall is it's not like a normal wall in that you can divide it up with curtain grids. So if you go to architecture and you come over here, there's a curtain grid command. And if you hover over one of the edges, it'll let you put grids. And it usually tries to snap to the half point or the third point. So let's snap to the third point here and then the other third. And then let's split it in half up and down. Okay, so now we've got 6 panels. And the next thing you can do, besides, okay, so there's the panel itself. Well, there's the curtain wall. Let me rephrase that. There's the curtain wall, which when I hover over, that's the dotted blue lines. Then there's the curtain grids, which we just placed. And then if you tab select, there is the actual panel, which is different from the wall and is different from the grids, right? It's very important that you understand those 3 distinct items. And now we're going to add one more into the mix, which is a curtain wall mullion. So next to the curtain grid command, there's a curtain mullion command. And most of the time, there's already a curtain mullion loaded into a project. So mullions can be placed on curtain walls, on grids, or on the edges of the wall. So I'm just going to quickly place mullions at all of my grids and edges. Now, we're not going to get into too much to the very specifics of behavior. There's a lot to learn about curtain walls, and I think if you're going to use this technique, you should really educate yourself more specifically on curtain walls. But just know that usually it tries, depending on how the mullion is made, it'll try to split the mullion across the grid line equally. And then on edges, it just puts one side on the edge of the wall and pushes the rest of it in. That becomes important to know and understand the behaviors. We're not going to get into how to make mullions and all of that. I've done all of that for you. That's the beauty of purchasing all that. You don't have to think about it. But you should at least know what's happening. Okay, so those are the basic parts. Mullions. All right, so curtain wall, curtain grids, curtain wall mullions, and curtain wall panels. 4 items. They're all separate things. Now, to make it a little more confusing, a curtain wall panel can be replaced. It doesn't always have to be glass. You also don't have to have mullions. So I'm just going to click on that mullion and delete it. And I'm going to then tab select till I grab the bottom panel. So now I've got that panel of glass. So what's cool about a curtain wall is you can put a couple things in there. You can put a panel, which is like a system panel. So right here, this is the system panel. Right now I have it set as glazing. You could use the solid panel. You could duplicate this panel and make a different kind. Like right now it's got a copper material and it's 8 inches thick, but we could duplicate this and we could call it solid 2. We could make it 4 inches. You can change it from copper to anything. Let's make it concrete. And then you can, so let's click OK just to see what that did. So now you see there's a concrete block in there. And let's even remove the mullion here. Okay, let's select it again. And you'll notice it automatically centers that block. Let's go to a first floor plan. Here's our curtain wall. Now, if I select the whole wall, you see that the dotted blue line? That's the center of our curtain wall. By default, it puts the panel, it splits the depth of the panel evenly. But if you go to your panel type, you can change the offset. So we could offset it 1 foot if we want, and then it puts it clear outside the wall like that. Curtain walls are really fun too. You can get creative with them. I used curtain walls to put scaffolding. I was a construction manager for a while, and we had to do a lot of modeling of scaffolding around buildings to do like visuals. and I used curtain walls and use the curtain wall to build the scaffolding. Okay, so that's the curtain panels. The other thing that you can put in a panel, so let's talk about that, is you can put other walls. So if I select that panel and I go to the drop down of options of what I can put in here, all of my walls that are currently in this project can also be put into a panel. So like here's a 4-inch furring wall. I can put that in there. Okay, so you can replace a panel with walls. You can replace a panel with another type of panel. And then another thing you can do is you can replace it with a door, a curtain wall door. Let me see if I'm not sure I have a curtain wall door. I don't actually have that in here, but you can put a curtain wall door into the place of a panel. And the most important one, and this is what I'm really getting to, is the third kind, or the fourth thing you can put in there, is called a curtain panel family. It's a family that you load in, and it's meant to go inside of a curtain wall. And so that's what I have. That's what we have in our example file here. So if you look in the example file, you'll see something called curtain panels. So for the basic style, it comes with 2 panels that you can load into your project, and you can place these in. So I'm just going to grab this. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to paste it. And now so what I pasted in is actually, this is a curtain wall. It's divided with a mullion, and I've placed this panel and this panel. So this is a raised panel, and this is a flat one. So if we want, we can just use I'm going to select the raised panel. I'm going to use the match command, and I'm going to match this panel to that one. And it looks like a flat panel, and that is because we're looking at the wrong side. That is another thing, is you do have to pay attention. There is I don't know if there's an interior and exterior side like a traditional wall, but there is a side 1 and a side 2. So this wall is flipped around. So we're just going to hit the space bar to flip it, and that'll put it back on this side. So now there's our raised panel. If we want to change this one into a flat panel, we can again select this panel, use the match tool. So now we have a flat panel and a raised panel. And you can further divide this if you want using curtain grids. And then you could put mullions in if you'd like to make a border around these raised panels. Anyways, so now hopefully you're starting to see how we're going to do interior trim. If you have all the pieces you need, meaning curtain panels, mullions, all of that, you can see how you can start to build walls. Okay, so that's the basics, the anatomy of a curtain wall. The next video, we'll talk more about the specific uses, and there are a lot of different conditions and things to think about when you start to use curtain walls for trim. But in the beginning, it's going to be intimidating. I'm just going to say that. It's going to be confusing what's going on. Things aren't going to work how you want, and it's usually just because you don't know enough about curtain walls. Once you get over that hump, this is actually a really fast way to do large amounts of trim work. Okay, so catch me in the next video, and we'll talk about that.